Hello and welcome to another in-depth review. Now in front of me is the Benjamin Armada in .22 and it's a sub 12 foot-pound version. Now what I'd like to do is run you through its tech specs, then show you footage of me shooting it outside at 30 meters, and then after that rate the rifle for accuracy and performance, and then design and build. So let's crack on, shall we? Now I always like to know a little bit about a company before I start reviewing their products. And in this case, what you see in front of you, the Benjamin Armada, is not a Benjamin, it's a Crosman. Crosman bought out Benjamin in 1992, but what Crosman have done is actually kept the Benjamin name alive. And I think they've done that out of respect for Walter R. Benjamin, who back in 1882 first designed, patented and produced a pneumatic 2.2 pump style air rifle. And what was really important about that air rifle is that it was a pivotal moment. Prior to Mr. Benjamin's design, air rifles were classed as toys. They had no power, basically they'd plink and that was that. But his rifles were capable of shooting pellets out at 400 feet per second. And what that meant is that they were no longer just for plinking, they could be used for small game hunting. In the time since then, when Mr. Benjamin first patented his rifle, he then spent a couple of decades dialing in his designs. And alongside the Whistler Instrument Company and the St. Louis Air Rifle Company, he created more air rifles, more designs, even CO2 air guns, and the CO2 canisters to be able to feed those air guns. And then of course as his company grew, it drew attention. In 1977 he purchased the Sheridan products to add more designs to their arsenals, but in 1992, as I said, Crosman took them over. Now the nice thing about this is that Crosman has kept the name. So if you're looking for an Armada, you're not going to go to Crosman's website, you're going to go to Benjamin's website. And for all intents and purposes, Benjamin stands out as a company in its own right, which is really quite unusual. But it's nice to see. So that's a little history behind the rifle. Now let's talk about the rifle itself. So what do we have here? Well, basically this is the Armada kit. So it's the rifle, it includes a scope, and you'll get a scope that is a 4-16 by 50 center point along with the rifle, and you'll get a bipod. And that costs £995 new. This is for sale via theGunLocker in Stafford. But if you wanted just the rifle on its own, you can have that. And if you're fortunate enough to be in the States, you can have a semi-automatic version as well. That's we don't get that in the UK. But this is the .22 sub 12 foot-pound version. And obviously it's a skeletal military style rifle, a PCP, and for those of you that don't know what PCP means, it means pre-charged pneumatic. That's where air has been compressed in the cylinder and it's stored there ready for use. Okay. The rifle itself, in regards to its cocking mechanism, it has a bolt at the back, and that bolt is actually swappable. So at the moment it's set for right-handed use, but it can be swapped over for left-handers, which is great because then it keeps it ambidextrous, truly ambidextrous. It's available in 2.2 and 2.5 calibers, so 5.5mm and 6.35mm. You can't get it in .177 or .3. And then with regards to its actual dimensions, well, the rifle's got basically an extendable stock. So when that's out at its fully extended length, it's 1,100mm, so 1.1 meters, or 43.31 inches. If you close the stock up, that goes to 1,018mm, or 40.08 inches. And again, apologies if I'm looking down, but I'm looking at my facts and figures here on screen, just simply because I can't remember all these numbers. You know, anybody that can, fair play, but I'm getting a little bit long in the tooth to be able to do that. Now, the centre of balance when the butt is closed, or from the butt once it's closed, is roughly where my finger is, and that's 490mm or 19.29 inches. And of course, when you extend the butt, because there's no additional weight, the centre of balance is still roughly where my finger is, but it stretches out to 570mm or 22.44 inches. The reach from the butt to the trigger when it's fully extended is 365mm or 14.37 inches, and when you close that butt up again, it reduces down to 283mm or 11.14 inches. So you've got quite a range there for reach, and that's nice because you can make the rifle fit you. Its weight unscoped and without the bipod is 3.61 kilos, 7.96 pounds, so it's not light, but it's not particularly heavy. It's actually almost a perfect balance between using the rifle on a bench and taking it out on the field. Although what I will say, it is a little bit long for field work, but even so, if you're used to taking shots lying down, or you know, kneeling, and you're supporting your rifle properly, then that length shouldn't really be an issue. Now, if we talk about the stock on its own, well, that's produced by Armada. It's a multi-piece modular stock, and it's made from a mix of materials, synthetic plastics. The pistol grip itself can actually be swapped out. This one is again a hard plastic, but you've also got aluminium within the M-lock rails as well, kind of an Arca rail style, but M-lock fittings. With regards to colours, so it's only available in black. And then going back to the butt itself, well, it's just, to be fair, it's quite minimalist and quite hard. There's no rubber butt pad on this, but again, because it's a PCP, and especially that it's sub 12 foot-pound, you don't really need it to be soft. When it goes into the firearms bracket and it's got a bit of kick behind it, well, it would be nice to have some cushioning behind there. But this butt is actually removable as well, so you can swap that out and put a different butt on if you'd like. As I've said, it's reach adjustable, it's removable, and it's ambidextrous. What would be nice is if the actual cheek piece here was adjustable for height. It's not, but obviously as you pull that butt out, then you can adjust it for depth. Again, when I shot it, for me it felt quite comfortable. I didn't have any kind of awkwardness when I put that gun to my shoulder. It just felt nice, it felt okay. Just looking down here, the grip itself, AR-15 style, and as I say, you can swap that out. This has got a stippled finish to it, which is very grippable, and it's not deep, so any size of hand would be able to use this this rifle. And with regards to grip position, you've got basically a wraparound, or you can shoot it thumbs up, and there is a nice kind of inset just above the grip, which allows you to put the rest of your thumb in there quite nicely. So if you like a thumbs up position, you can shoot that way, or you can wrap the your hand around the grip and have a traditional wraparound style. I prefer the wraparound. Put that back. So what can I tell you about the fore end? Well, the fore end is basically modular. It's got a whole load of M-lock grooves in there, and I'm losing everything now. It doesn't have any particular finish to it except a matte luster, but there are plenty of kind of grooves, I suppose, within these plastic inserts to be able to have a decent grip if that's what you're looking for. You're not going to slip with it, even though it's got a smooth finish. With regards to the chassis, well, the chassis is made from aluminium, and obviously you can see that there is a Picatinny rail that basically is split into three parts. So you've got two that form the main part above the body of the chassis, and then you've got this long Picatinny that goes above the barrel, and that's within its own casing, as it were. Again, black. You can't sort that out for different colours like FDE or anything like that. And then looking at the trigger, well, the trigger's metal, single blade, is two-stage adjustable. For me, again, I will spend a little bit of time and talk about the design and build of this after I've shown you the footage of me shooting it, because I don't want to give my opinions just yet. But from what I can see, you can get to those grub screws quite easily, and within the trigger guard itself, which forms part of the stock, there is a hole cut out there which will allow you to put some grub screws in and get to the adjustment screws behind the trigger blade itself. Now the safety is where my finger is. Basically forward for fire, back for safe. Now you guys know, if you've seen my previous videos, that I do not like safeties anywhere near the trigger. For me it's just a bad design. But the saving grace with this one is that this safety blade is really quite long. And when you pull it back towards you, it locks that trigger. So there's no chance of putting it into safe and, you know, discharging the rifle. It won't happen. It's an okay design. I'm going to say it's an okay design. I would rather a safety be away from the trigger, and you guys know that if you've seen my previous videos. Now with regards to loading the rifle, it has a rotary magazine. Now in 2.2 it's 10 shot, and in 2.5 it's 8 shot. So you don't have large mags, which is a little bit of a shame, but you know, that's what they've opted for. When we talk about the scope rail, now obviously I've already mentioned this, a Picatinny scope rail. If you measure from the back of the block to the front of the block, it's 153 millimeters or 6.02 inches. That obviously, when you put a scope on it, spans the breech, or you know, the rifle, and it can be an issue if you have large magazines, so or a rotary mag. So of course a higher mount for your scope would be advisable. The rail width itself is 21.11 mil or 0.83 of an inch, and the offset, so from the top of the rail there to the barrel itself, is 6.16 millimeters or 0.24 of an inch. Now the barrel rail length is 385 millimeters or 15.16 inches, and its width is 20.9 mil or 0.82 of an inch. So let's talk about the barrel. The barrel itself is made by Crosman. It's rifled. It's 673 mil long from the breech to the muzzle end there, or 26.5 inches. And as you can see, it's shrouded, and it does hold some sound moderation within that shrouding. In all honesty, when I actually ran it over the or put a decibel meter to it, it came out with 82 decibels, and that's pretty quiet. So it works. It really does work. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this, but let me just cock the rifle. It's in fire. It's not loud. It really isn't loud at all. The shroud length, so from this point here to there is 600 mil or 23.62 inches, and the shroud diameter is 22.42 millimeters or 0.88 of an inch. Now you guys know that if I can get to the barrel itself, I like to measure the wall thickness, but unfortunately I can't unscrew this shroud. I don't want to force it. I'm not sure quite how it fits in, so I've not, although I tried to undo it at the end here, I've left it well alone because it's very tight, so I don't want to damage anything. Now, the interesting and contentious bit of information that I have is if you go on to Benjamin's website, and I went on there looking for the capacity of the air cylinder, they advertise this as the Armada kit with 90 cubic inch refillable tank. Now there's no way in my mind that this cylinder could be 90 cubic inches, and when I was speaking to a dealer that I know, asked him the question, what do you reckon? He said, well, you know, that's probably because it's FAC version or full power version in the States, and that's why they're saying it's 90 cubic inch. But when you look at their imagery, it's this exact same rifle. In my mind, this can't be 90 cubic inch, because if that was the case, it would be over 1.4 litres of air. Now we're talking 2 big buddy bottles, you know, that's, let me have a look. If you look at this little rifle here, we've got a buddy bottle on the back, we've got a 500cc bottle on the front, and that's not quite a litre of air in total. So yeah, it can't be 90, just be gentle there, it can't be 90 cubic inches. So I'm not sure what it is. But the max fill pressure, well, on the side of the rifle it says 3000 psi, but I would recommend 200 bar or 2900 psi. With regards to the manometer, well, actually it's in the sensible place. It's here, not at the end of the cylinder. But if you look at the manometer, it actually says Crowell Arms. So obviously Benjamin, Crosman, whoever are buying parts in from Crowell to make the rifle up, and that, you know, kind of, how can I put it? It rings true for maybe the block as well, because I can see some influence here from Crowell Arms, the way the block has been designed, the way the Picatinny rail sits on there. It does have Crowell-esque features, shall we say. What else can I say? Well, with regards to air options, so can you put a carbon bottle on this? No, you can't. What you see is what you get. It is what it is. Basically what's left to talk about is factory figures. Now unfortunately I can't give you sub 12 foot-pound factory figures because Benjamin don't provide them. They provide full power figures. So for the .22 it's kicking out 43 joules or 31.72 foot-pound with a velocity of 304 meters per second or 1000 feet per second, and the .22 is good for 30 shots per fill. Similarly with the .25, again 30 shots or 30 plus shots per fill, the same sort of energy levels of 43 joules or 31.72 foot-pound, and the velocity kind of reduces down to 274 meters per second or 900 feet per second. And then finally, what do you get when you buy the rifle? Well, you get it in a cardboard box, so there's no hard case or gun slip. You don't actually get a manual with the rifle because you can download that from Benjamin's website. It's a Foster fill connector, and you fill the cylinder from the end here, so you get a coupler to go with it. You get this 4:16 by 50 CP scope. You get one rotary magazine, and then you get a bipod to go along with it. So with regards to tech specs, that's it. And what we're going to do now is show you footage of me shooting the rifle outside at 30 meters. I'll then come back in here and we can rate the rifle, and I'll give you my opinion on how it's performed. So now's the turn of the Benjamin Armada in .22. It's a sub 12 foot-pound version. The targets are set at 30 meters. Beautiful day. We do have some gusts of wind, but nothing out of the normal. Not for this time of year anyway. So I'll do a pellet test on the left-hand piece of paper. I'm going to start off with the Diablo fields. The magazine, well, it's a 10-shot magazine, and it feeds in from the right-hand side. I'm not sure if you can see that. Click. She's ready to go. Safety, it's already in fire, but the safety is within the trigger guard, in front of the trigger. It's not a favourite of mine, but you know, it is what it is. So without further ado, Diablo fields, left-hand piece of paper, bottom left-hand target, and this is just a pellet test, so all I'm doing is trying to get a half decent group. I'll put my glasses on. Right, I'm out. That was actually a pretty good group. I could feel myself waggling a little bit left to right, so that's why you've got the variation there, the spread on the group. It's all roughly the same elevation. It's just you can see that drift from left to right, but that's me waggling. I can feel it. Next up, we're going to go for the Bisley LRGs. Sorry, no, these are the Bisley Practice, so it's a flat nose pellet. Not sure how it's going to perform with those, but we'll give them a go. And what I'll do is I'll load up the magazine and then get back to you afterwards. So, Bisley Practice, .22. And let's go bottom right hand target. Okay, so that was 2 pellets being fed in there. I'll try that again. Right, I'm out. Well, they're an odd pellet for me. I don't normally get on with them, and they make a massive hole in the paper when they come through, but that's because there's nothing behind that piece to support it from tearing. So let's go next up for the Bisley long range golds. And again, what I'll do is just load up the magazine and come back to you in a minute. Right, so I'm loaded up with the the Bisley long range golds. Can't get my words out today. We load in from the right hand side, nice click, and we're ready to go. Let's go top right hand target. That was me. Right, I'm out. So not a bad group. It flies a little bit higher than the Air Arms Diablo Fields, but not bad. So let's try the Premier Hollow Points from Crosman. Nice shiny pellet. Okay, so Premier Hollow Points. Top left hand target. So I'm just getting this in the right order. That one, that one, that one, that one. Right. So top right target. Okay, I'm out. A little bit of a friendly bee by me ear. So finally, we're going to go with the Norma Golden Trophy FTs. Okay. So Norma Golden Trophy FTs. Heavies. And we're going to go for the centre target this time. It's in. Okay. Okay, I'm out. So, of those 5 tins, didn't like the busy practice, wasn't so keen on hollow points. I think what I'll do for the accuracy test, I'll go for the Diablo fields. So let's try the accuracy test. I'm not going to resight the rifle. I'm just going to go straight onto the right hand piece of paper, and I think what I'll do is just check the offsets. If they're all the same, if it's slightly off the red cross, then I'll measure that distance. But yeah, we'll get a mean, and then we're going to obviously put a pellet in each of the outer 4 targets and then a group in the centre. So bottom left hand target, right hand piece of paper. Bottom right hand target. Top right hand target. Top left hand target. And now for the group in the centre. I'm out. Well guys, that was a pretty good accuracy test, I have to say. I'm going to measure those dims away from the centre of the red cross, but you know what, they're within a few mil at 30 metres. I'm impressed with that. I really am. Yeah, it's pretty damn good, this. It surprised me. I was hoping that it would be, because obviously the long barrel, and you know, it has that military style. There's enough around it to make it give the impression that it's going to shoot well, and it does. The cocking lever could be a little bit more refined for me, and the trigger's a little bit heavy, but once you get used to it, yeah, well look, you've seen the results downrange. Yeah, you can't really beat that. That's pretty impressive. Anyway, I'll catch you back inside. So that was me shooting this rifle outside at 30 metres, and as you could see on the footage, it was a nice day, it was a warm day, but we did have some wind to contend with. In my mind, the rifle performed well. It really did. Could it be tighter? Could it be more accurate? Well, give us a still day and we can try it again. But saying that, you know, would I be happy to use this rifle on small game? Is it consistent enough? Is it accurate enough? Yes, in my mind, I think it is. Let me give you my ratings now for accuracy and performance, and then I'll do it for design and build, and we can have a quick sum up at the end. So, with regards to accuracy, now, I have the test sheets here, and when I look at the piece of paper, the minimum point of impact away from the centre of the red cross was 4.21 millimetres, and again this is shot over 30 metres. The maximum distance away from the red cross was 9.62 millimetres, so I don't know whether the camera will pick these up, but you've seen them on screen anyway. And then the group size was 14.23mm. Now again, a 5p piece is 18mm in diameter, so yeah, I'm really pleased with these results. So overall, for accuracy, it scores 4.4 out of 5 stars. Now, with regards to handling, now I mentioned before that it weighs 7.96 pounds. It's not a light rifle, but it's not particularly heavy. For me, it's a nice blend between bench and field work. And because of that, overall, it scores 3.5 out of 5 stars. Now, with regards to loading the rifle, you can see this magazine here. It's only a 10-shot mag, so you know you will be constantly going back to this to refill it to use the rifle. It's just one of those things. Nowadays, with so many rifles having 30-odd shot magazines, that's scoring low. And of course, I'm comparing this to the market, what's available. So yeah, it's not scoring so well on that. But with regards to loading and indexing, it didn't miss a beat. It really didn't. So I didn't have any pellet jams. The cocking lever is a little bit stiff, but I believe that will loosen up in time. But overall, it scores 3.3 out of 5 stars. Again, it's a good score. You know, it is a good score. Down to the trigger. So out of the box, I've done no adjustment whatsoever because, as I say, it's a new rifle and it's not my place to mess around with these triggers. But with regards to how it shot on the day, out of the box, adjustability and predictability, well, I've given it 4 out of 5 stars. There's nothing there to fall out with. The long trigger blade allows you to find it very easily. It sits nicely on the fingertip. The first stage movement is a nice sensible length. There's a little bit of creep in the second stage, but it's predictable. You come to a defined stop and just a little bit of pressure and the rifle, you know, the scissors release and the rifle fires. Nothing to fall out with. There really isn't. You could have it lighter if you wanted to, but again, that's down to you to tune it up. So for me, it's a straight 4 out of 5. Yeah, quite like that. I really did. With regards to power, now running the rifle over the Crony, the fastest speed I achieved was 535.1 feet per second. The slowest speed I achieved in the shot string was 528 feet per second, so it gave a difference of 7.1 feet per second. Remember, this isn't regulated. There are no plenums, there are no fine tuners or anything like that. What you see is what you get. And a spread of 7.1 feet per second is fantastic. Now, I was using the Air Arms Diablo Field 16 grains, and it meant that this was kicking out 10.05 feet per second. So it's not particularly powerful, but it is effective. I would prefer that to be in the 11.2, 11.3 region, but you know, there is the added advantage that because you're not shooting so hot, you're actually going to get more shots per fill, and I'll talk about that in a second. So overall, for power and for consistency, I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5 stars, and I think that's a fair score. Now, with regards to air efficiency, it actually scored quite well because you're getting 1.6 shots per bar of pressure used. And you know, I started this off having loaded it to 200 bar. I shot it down to 150 bar, so I've used 50 bar of pressure, and I actually had 80 shots in those 50 bar of pressure. Now, if you extrapolate those figures, you're looking at about 160 shots per fill. which is great. You know, that's fantastic. I will again just revert back to Benjamin's website, where they're advertising this as a Benjamin Armada kit with a 90 cubic inch refillable tank. Yeah, something's not quite right there, because I can't see this cylinder being 90 cubic inches. It's just not. However, that shouldn't detract from the fact that it's still offering 160 shots per fill. So in my mind, 3.8 out of 5 stars, and that's a good score. Now, noise levels. So I put the decibel meter right up against the muzzle, I shot it as it is, and it's kicking out 82 decibels. So the suppression within the shroud is working very, very well. It's not quite as quiet as, say, the Virarc with a Virarc silencer on there, which goes down to 80 decibel, but it's still considerably quieter than the rifle that's not. And when you think that your standard PCP is kicking out 88 decibels, unmoderated, this is, you know, it's doing a good job. It really is. You don't need to attach anything else onto it. And again, I've said this before, when you're shooting small game, don't forget when that pellet hits the game, there's noise at that point. You know, so depending on where you hit that animal, it can make quite a pop and quite a thud. Again, if there's any animal in the location of that shot, of that point of impact, they're more likely to be frightened of that than they are of hearing this light thud, you know, 30 or 40 meters away. So for noise levels, I've given it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Again, a good score. Finally, value for money. Well, do I think it's good value for money? Actually, yes, I do. As a kit, I certainly do. Because don't forget, this is, what's the ticket say? £995. Yeah, and as I said before, you can purchase this at theGunLocker in Stafford. £995 gets you the rifle, gets you a very good scope. No two ways about it, it does the job. I like this scope. I use it on other rifles when I do my accuracy tests. Yeah, it's perfect. For air rifle work, it's absolutely perfect. And then a half decent, you know, bipod as well. So all you would need to do is purchase an air supply. By that I mean either a foot pump or a diver's bottle. Is it good value for money? Well, when I think about it being £995, and then I look at the, you know, the accuracy tests for 995 quid plus a diver's bottle, would, you know, do I think it's worth it? Yeah, if I'm getting results like this, for sure. And because of that, the rifle's scored 4.2 out of 5 stars for value for money. You know, yeah, it's good. So for accuracy and performance, the rifle's achieved an overall score of 3.8 out of 5 star, which is a very good score. You know, it puts it in line with the BSA R10. You know, yeah, and quite a few of the Kraus as well. So, good. Right, next we're going to talk about design and build. So in this section, we're talking about aesthetics, ergonomics, build quality, and safety design. So let's talk about aesthetics first off. Again, for all of you that have watched my previous videos, apologies, but just for those of you that haven't, aesthetics is a very, very personal subject. It's how something appears to you, and obviously, you know, when I rate this rifle, it's how it appeals to me. So my personal opinion. I like it. You know, I'm not overwhelmed by it. It doesn't really grab me, but it's attractive enough for me to want to take it off the shelf and actually shoot it. Yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one. I can't get really excited about it, although I like its functionality. I like the fact that you can do things with it. It kind of alludes to possibilities. All black works for it. You know, I reckon it could handle some Cerakoting as well. It can handle an FDE or flat dark earth finish, some camo. It would work with, you know, if you wanted to go all out sniper, you could wrap it in some Hessian, you can wrap it in some camo, some material. It would really look the part for sure. But as it is, what can I say? It's a military style rifle, and yeah, I like it. I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5 stars, and for me, I think that's a fair, you know, a fair result. It's not a pretty rifle, you know, it hasn't got a beautiful stock on it. It's just very military, very functional, utilitarian, shall we say. So 3.5 out of 5 stars, yeah, I think that's fair. For ergonomics, actually, it's not done too bad. Overall, it scores 3 out of 5 stars. And although, you know, what are we looking at? So it's achieved 12 out of 30 for the stock, the same for the metalwork. And what do I mean by that? Well, look, it's got an adjustable butt, and that's adjustable for reach, obviously. The butt is also removable and can be replaced. You've got an adjustable cheek piece in that, although it doesn't go up and down, it does go back and forth because it's attached to the butt itself, and if that fully extends, then obviously that's going to move. It's ambidextrous. It's got an ambidextrous grip, interchangeable grip actually, because you can take that one off and you can replace it if you want to. Multiple hand positions, such as wrap around and thumb up. Sling studs are fitted, on which you can actually put a bipod or put a shoulder strap on. You know, you can put LRFs on here, you can put lights on here. It's got a lot of kind of functionality within the stock itself, and obviously it's resistant to weather, and resistant to a few knocks, you know, knocks and bumps. I reckon it would be a half decent rifle in the field. It's just a little bit long. With regards to the metalwork, so you've got some very long Picatinny rails on the top there. Again, the quality of finishes, I'm going to say it's Kral-esque. In my mind, it looks like Kral have supplied the body for this rifle. I could well be wrong. It looks like they might have supplied other parts for this rifle as well. I know for sure that they've supplied the manometer because it says Kral Arms on the manometer. So obviously Benjamin come Crosman are buying parts in and assembling the rifle either in their factory or it's being branded up for them. I don't know. Obviously the barrel shrouded, it's got an integral sound moderator in there. So this is all areas where it's gaining points. You know, you look at the trigger, it's 2-stage adjustable. So with regards to ergonomics, and bear in mind that ergonomics is all about how the product is adaptable for the end user. So not necessarily how it's been designed in the first instance to perform, but how adaptable it is to suit that end user. So the rifle, how it fits that individual shooter, and whether it can be modified to be more comfortable or to provide more functional ability. That's ergonomics, and there is a lot of difference between the two. So look, and fit, personal fit. So because the fact that the stock is adjustable and I can match this rifle to me, it scores very well on that. 4 out of 5 for fit, no two ways about it. So overall, it gets 3 out of 5 stars. And again, I think that's fair. The build quality, now, I've I've scored it 3.5 out of 5 stars for the simple reason that it's not as high as something like a Viroc. The finish in my mind isn't as good a quality. It's not bad, don't get me wrong, but it just doesn't necessarily ooze the same level of quality as the HW100, for example, or the HW77K, which is where this channel started. Yeah, it's good, it's functional. Across the board, I can't see anything that's loose on it, although one bugbear with these stocks is that they do have movement, that it's just part and parcel of the way that they're made, and it doesn't seem to matter which design you get, they all have a little bit of wobble to them. Now, initially that's quite off-putting, but once you put it in the shoulder and you lock the rifle into you, that little bit of movement actually helps with stabilizing the gun and, you know, putting it on point. But build quality, you know, you've got plastics, you've got aluminiums, you've got painted metals. It's okay. I've given it 3.5 out of 5 stars across the board. You know, I've not seen anything fall off, I've not seen any rust, but there are some marks here and there. And then finally, the design of the safety. Well, everybody knows that follows me that I hate safeties within the trigger guard. I think they should be well away from triggers. I just don't understand why anybody would want to put it there. You want a rifle to be safe, keep it away from the trigger. Simple as. But saying that, and there's always a but, as it's commonplace, and if you compare this with other rifles of a similar type where the safety is within the trigger guard, I've got to say this is probably one of the better ones. And the simple reason is the blade for the safety is quite long, quite wide, and it's, you know, you've got enough room to be able to put your finger between the trigger guard and safely switch that blade to safe or transfer it to fire without affecting the trigger itself. So it's okay, it's good. It's a manual safety, it's not an auto safety. It operates well. So I'm giving it an okay, I'm giving it 3 out of 5 stars. Yeah. Now look, for any of you that are thinking about buying this rifle, do I think it's a good idea? I think it's a contender for sure. You know, if you have a budget and you're working to the £1,000 mark, are there other rifles to consider alongside this? Yes, there are. I think it comes down to personal opinion as to whether you would choose this over them. What I like about it is the fact that the fore end has got the M-LOK rail or shroud that goes around the barrel and the cylinder, protects the cylinder, protects the barrel, gives you lots of functionality. I like that. Yeah, you know, it's a possible. Would I buy it personally? I don't think I would. I think I would spend the money on, you know, a used HW100. I said in my last video I've fallen in love with that rifle, and I have, and it's a bit of a shame actually that I've shot it now, because I am biased. There's no two ways about it. But the truth is, in my personal opinion, this against that, I would buy that. If I could afford to have two, then yeah, I would have it, you know, I'd have it in my cabinet for sure, and I would enjoy shooting it. Slightly different style. It's got its little nuances, and you know, I'd like a slightly bigger magazine for sure, but it's a good gun. It puts the pellet where it needs to be. You know, we're only talking a few mil at 30 meters on a relatively windy day. So what more can I say? So yeah, I think you should consider it for sure. Right guys, that's this in-depth review done. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please please feel free to drop me a comment, and I do try and reply to those comments. Keep them clean, obviously, because we do have younger members of the audience reading these comments, and I don't want to offend anybody. There's no need for bad language or animosity. Again, these are all my opinions, so you may have your own, and please let me know. And if you've got any info, it helps, it really does. I made a comment on the HW100 the magazine was a 12 shot on the .22, and it was actually a 14 shot. And I admit fault, I do get things wrong. Sometimes information isn't that easy to come by, especially if you're new to a particular rifle or a particular manufacturer. As always, please, if you haven't done so already, subscribe. It is important. It will help the channel continue evolving and to keep producing more reviews for you. Give us a thumbs up and share amongst your friends and family, because obviously that helps get the subscribers in. And we do have, don't forget, we do have our platform, which is www.thegunlocker.uk, where if you're looking to buy or sell rifles, shotguns, shooting accessories, go onto that platform. The dealers could do with your support, because we are in hard times, and that includes dealerships, and if they don't sell rifles or sporting goods, they're not going to be around. So please help them out. Yeah, and that's it. So until the next one, please take care, and I'll see you again. Bye for now.